Hillary sticks a fork in Dems' chances with her latest insult to American voters. She is totally tone deaf. She don't get the American people. She don't get it because she's been a part of government her entire adult life. So she don't get normal, regular people like you and I. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button, share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Now, when you hit that alarm bell, you can change it um, from personal to all. That way, you get all of my notifications for when I put out stuff, because I put out stuff sporadically. Also, check out my link tree in the description. It has a link to my Patreon, where I talk about things I can't talk about here. And there's also a link to my Instagram where I put out even more news to keep you informed. All right, let's talk about this news. Hillary Clinton is not a dumb woman, but she is a she is a bad one. And she has to be one of the worst political campaigners ever, I think, in history. Uh, Clinton doesn't seem to understand how to do it, even after all these many decades. Democrats, Democrats wire her up, and then what she says end up helping the Republicans. So hilarious. On Tuesday night, Clinton insulted Americans yet again, telling MSNBC's Joy Reid that the reason that American voters might be running to Republicans is in the election is that voters just don't understand the quote threats posed by Republicans. Basically, trying to say that people are just dumb. That's why they're going to vote for Republicans. It's not that inflation is through the roof and people can't even afford essentials like food and groceries. They can't afford to pay their electric bill. That's not the reason why people are voting for Republicans. No, because they're dumb. That's basically what she was saying. But quote, I think that with all of the noise that we've gotten in the election season, I don't think that people are really able to grasp that. Clinton agreed. But more importantly, I'm not sure they really understand the threats to their way of life. Like, for real, like our way of life isn't threatened right now. But Clinton then falsely claimed that Republicans plan to take people's Social Security and Medicare, an old lie that Democrats pull every election season. And I talked about that before. Every year they come with this mantra that Republicans want to take Social Security, want to take Medicare, and Republicans in authority have already said this isn't the case. And even the Washington Post has given the claim a bunch of Pinocchios. The leftist Democracy Dies in the Dark Washington Post gave them a bunch of Pinocchios for this. But Democrats keep pushing it, and no one's falling for it. Imagine thinking the way to convince people to vote for you is by saying they're too stupid to understand what's going on if they don't want to do so. It's crazy. That's what she's doing here, and it's deplorable 2.0. How dare people reject the Democrats? They need to be taught how to rethink, quote unquote, according to Hillary. If there was any better way to push people away, I can't think of it. That's why they're fleeing to Republicans, and she's helping to give them a push. It's like it's kind of like what Ron DeSantis said either yesterday or today when they were talking about Joe Biden going around stomping for Democrats in Florida. He called it an in-kind donation, and that's basically what this is. This is an in-kind donation to the Republicans because nobody wants to listen to Hillary. Nobody is listening to her. No one likes her. That's why she failed every time she tried to run for president. Instead of talking about the most important issues for the voters like inflation and crime, Hillary then went right to demonizing Republicans, calling them all kinds of names and saying their quote violent rhetoric is a danger as well as responsible for the attack on Paul Pelosi. This, even though the voters have already shown that they are turned off by this kind of nonsense. Again, she don't get it. But quote, there's always been a streak of violence, of racism, misogyny, anti-Semitism. You know the usual stuff that they say. And she goes on to say, but I think what we're seeing today, and it has certainly been thrown into very high relief by the horrific attack on Paul Pelosi, is not just an aberration. where one or two people or a small group engage in that kind of violent rhetoric and urge people to take action against political figures like her, like me, like others. Well, I'm gonna stop right there. When have anyone, any Republican, any conservative, or anyone like that have ever come out and said anything like that? I've never seen it. I've seen Maxine, Mad Max, Mad Maxine Waters come out and say, call to violence and saying we got to get in their face and we need to. AOC came out and say stuff said stuff like that, but you can't point to one quote or one video, one specific instance when a Republican or conservative had a call to violence. I can't find it. But quote, she goes on to say, quote, we're seeing a whole political party and those who support it, those who enable it, those who run under its banner engage in behavior that is so dangerous and I find frankly disqualified for people who are running for office. I just want your viewers, and really I would like every American just to stop and think about that. This is the kind of violent rhetoric that leads to violent action that props up authoritarians, and that's unfortunately what we see the Republican Party today supporting. Who are the real authoritarians? Who are the ones that's calling for censorship of free speech? Who are the ones telling people you have to get certain medical procedures, not checking in with doctors or anything like that, but you have to get this mandatory procedure? Who are the ones saying you got to stay home on lockdown, or your kids can't go to school? Who are the ones saying this stuff? Who are the real authoritarians? We all know who that is. It's the leftists, it's the Democrats. But Clinton claimed this was a, quote, threat to the heart of democracy. This, of course, is a complete lie. No Republican official has supported the attack on Paul Pelosi. Indeed, Republicans like President Donald Trump and Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell have condemned it. Yet she's trying to blame all Republicans for the actions of an alleged mentally ill man, yet doesn't see the issue with her irresponsible rhetoric as she demonized Republicans. Just total hypocrite. So when Republicans are attacked because of her rhetoric or that of the Joe Biden and other Democrats, that doesn't count, right? Why wouldn't we wouldn't talk about the teen who was run over and killed allegedly by a guy who falsely claimed that the victim was a, quote, Republican extremist? They don't even talk about that. That came shortly after Joe Biden demonized, quote, Republican extremists, much as Clinton was doing here, and much as Biden reportedly intends to do again in a speech Wednesday night, tonight, attacking election deniers. Let's not forget that Hillary Clinton, as recently as last week, was saying that that the 2024 election was going to be stolen by the Republicans. It hasn't even happened yet, and she's already talking about a stolen election. And you got Tom Fitton. I love Tom Fitton over there at Judicial Watch. He tweeted out new in a video for leftist group, the corrupt Hillary Clinton attacks Electoral College as an anarchism slam Supreme Court, but says that it is right-wing extremists who helped plan to steal the 2024 election. And I agree with Tom Fitton. Like, she's the one that's calling all this stuff. But meanwhile, Democrats wonder why they are going down in flames in the polls. It's because they don't care about what voters think. They don't care about their concerns about inflation and crime. And they insult them just as Hillary did in this interview. This is why groups like white suburban women are now fleeing to Republicans. And then you got a whole bunch of new black conservatives that's fleeing to Republicans in a big and decisive numbers that are going to decide the election. And I can't leave out the Hispanics too. They're showing up in droves for the Republican Party. And it isn't because the voters don't understand what's going on here. It's because they do. But let me know what you think. Leave your comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe. And check out democrepublics.com for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.